Hello, Gali.
Hello, Abba. We are
Back.
live.
Yes,
Back.
and I'm back in Cape Town.
Yes, we're back in Cape Town together, and you're back
Yeah,
here. You were missed.
yeah.
It's about time to have you back.
Yes, I'm happy to be back.
Yeah. I'm very happy that you're back. And today is an amazing subject. I think the minute that we started to promote it, which was like 24 hours ago, everybody was
Yeah,
like, oh my God, I got to attend. I had random friends saying they want to attend. Like
yes,
it's a hot topic. The topic is, of course, Ukraine, Russia, the
yeah.
number one current event of the moment. And
hmm
it's funny because when it started, you were sometime around when it started, it was when you were on your way back to Cape Town. And I
Yeah,
kind of made a mental note that I want to pick your brain about what's going on over dinner or something. And we actually haven't gotten to talking about it at all.
yeah,
So everything that you're going to respond is new to my ears.
yeah,
Your what you're going to say.
yeah.
And my understanding of it so far is probably at the level that the average person who watches the news understands of what's going on. But
hmm
I always had the feeling that there was something else, that this is an agenda that's been going on for a while, that this is leading somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you, where is it leading and what's going on and what's going to be the outcome and yeah, what the heck is going on?
Okay, where is it leading? I can tell you how the war will end. Exactly.
How the war will end. Okay.
Not maybe when exactly, but I'll tell you how it will end.
Okay.
Okay, so
I
it will
want to hear
end with a lot of pain. It
a
will
lot
end
of pain.
with a lot of injured people, many injured people. It will end with dead people. It will end with businesses going out of people going out of business. It will end with suffering. It will end with the dictators of the West and the and Russia because they are not leaders. They're not
Right.
actually leaders. They're not actually leading. I think that the last leader was probably Kennedy in the US, or maybe Johnson even. And
Mm.
and there's no leaders. They're not leaders.
I agree. I
Uh,
mean, I understand that. And I think the average person feels that their quote unquote leaders are not leaders at all. When you
exactly. So
say when you say pain and suffering, and is that more than any other war? Because that isn't that how all war ends?
yeah, it's how all war went, and this war is a little bit different because it is part of the general push into controlling people because the end will be a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of disaster, and the end will be convincing people that it is dangerous and they want to make sure that it will never happen again, so there will be more restriction on people.
Hmm.
and
So it's
the
a
reason
okay. Go on, go
And the
on.
reason and the reason it even happened is because people agree to small crimes. And when they agree to small crimes, they will later agree to big crimes. They agree to Russia, the West agreed to Russia taking the island Karim some times ago. And now, of course, it agrees that there will be a war. It will take a whole country. You in life you agree with an employee doing a small error and you don't think that it is a big thing, and later on you agree with big ones.
Yeah,
uh,
true.
and it's actually uh, it's actually a campaign, a coordinated campaign to make sure that people are more controlled, have more laws, have more limitations, have more fears, have less self-determinism, can decide less, can be more effective. And once you really understand it, you don't get impressed by what's going on, but you start to ask yourself, 1 second. So all of a sudden, you watch the news and you hear this, all those experts know everything about the country.
What do you mean?
And all of them knows the same thing. They know about the specific cities, how many people there, what is the best way to attack, what is this, what they know everything about the country. Someone feeding them information, and they're feeding it to the general population, and the general population get afraid. And when you are afraid, you cannot observe.
True.
So what you do, you parroting what you heard, and you think that it's you. But if you will
Yes.
actually examine, you will see that 99% of the people, 99% of the time, have opinions that they did not form. They have
True.
been fed those opinions, and they're just a copy machine. They're just repeating it. They're just parrots.
Right. 100% not their own conclusions, opinions, viewpoints. It's 100% a copy and a parrot. Yeah.
So the end result will be more rules, more limitations, less life, more people that will be more afraid, and so will parrot even more what the dictators in white or in black tell them to do, and each side will think that he's right, so they need to fight the other side, so there will be more hate.
Yeah.
There will be
I see.
much more hate, and hate bring barriers. Hate
Yes.
bring barriers, and the more barriers you have, the less love you have,
Of course.
and the less
Absolutely.
love you have, the less life you have. So the end result will be, yes, there will be a lot of people dying in the war, many more getting injured, and when we say a lot, I mean a lot, but really the massive pain will be because of the hate, because of the distrust. And even more than that, because by the time people realize they've just been controlled into
Yeah.
another opinion, into
Yes.
serving one more God, or not of their choosing, a human God, by the time they will realize that, it will be too late. They will already be in the jail. It
What
happens
do you
many times.
mean? Yeah. Go on. Go on.
It happens many times, and it will happen again.
Got you. What do you mean by a human god? Who is
Like
that?
Putin is
A
a
leader.
human god. Yes,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
someone
Got
that
you.
tells you what to do. What is a god? God defined for you your outlook on life, what is right, what is wrong, how things is. This is
Yeah.
God,
Got you.
not a
Okay.
religious God.
Yes,
Yes.
I see. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, I want to ask a few more questions and dig in as if you and I are at a normal family dinner. And I have some questions and I want to talk to you and find out what you say. And we happen to have a bigger audience than usual.
Okay.
It's not just family dinner. So, my question is, you're saying you're making these claims, right? That it's going to end in catastrophe more so than a usual war, because there's also the element of people submitting and agreeing to wrongnesses. And what I wanted to first of all ask, I had a few things come up, but what you're saying it was something that came before. This is a premeditated plan. This is was known about. When did do you think this kind of became known
Well,
about?
Russia started to take parts of Ukraine a few years ago. Yes, and the U.S.
Okay.
did nothing. Obama just said, "Oh, it's not good," and that was the end of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, and they agreed. So they agreed that it will happen. Yes, and it
Yeah. Is it
happened,
a
and the
part?
whole world said nothing.
Yes, I see. And but do you think this is a part of like I imagine it as like a few leaders are at a table and then they kind of are like, what we're gonna do is release COVID, make it all a thing, and next in line we're gonna do the the Russia Ukraine story, and that's gonna lead like, is it a plan in that way?
100% planned, but not by what you call the leaders. It's
Okay.
not the leaders that you see, the people that you see on the TV, Putin and Biden and other people that call themselves leaders. They're not really leaders.
Puppets.
They're being led, so they're just supposed to know how to put out the message in such a way that it will not look too obvious that a group of actual leaders leading the story.
Interesting. Okay. And okay, that's another massive topic which we should talk about, but maybe not today. But I want to ask you, so if that's the case, right, that they're being led, and the idea is that it's going to create further submission, what I'm noticing though is actually a sort of a unity in the world for Ukraine. People are actually very supportive of the Ukraine,
Yeah, everyone
which
everyone is supportive of Ukraine, and it's correct because the people of Ukraine are supported by the people of the US or the people of the world. Okay,
okay.
but when all of this thing will finish, when you will move what you see in the media, what do you think the people of Russia think about the people of Ukraine? What do you think the people in Belarus think about the people of Ukraine?
I think that the majority of the average person likes them, is
Ah,
happy with them.
because that's what you see in the media. But let me ask you: have you ever been in a country that had a war?
Yes.
You know more or less about the country. Good. Did you see this country loving the enemies or not? Never mind if the war is right, wrong. Do they love the enemies or not?
No, they don't.
Good. So do you think that this is an exception that the Russian people love the people in wherever?
I'm assuming that the majority don't love the enemy, but the question is,
Good.
have they always thought of them as the enemy, or is it just something that now Putin said they're the enemy, and the average person, the average family is like,
Who,
why is
who,
Putin
eh,
doing this?
who cares if it is always last week, 10 years ago, 70 years ago? It's
Hmm.
not really important. The fact is that right now there's a war, and the people of Russia, unlike what you see on the major news outlets, of course, hate the people of Ukraine. They're
Okay.
traitors.
Uh-huh. I see. Well, look, I happen to have spoken to a Russian recently, and she told me that it's divided. Probably like, I don't know, COVID or other topics, any hot political topic. You have the people that sit and don't like it and don't agree, and the others that think it is right what the quote unquote leader is
I
doing.
don't think that this is the division. I think that there is the division of people that can actually evaluate for themselves and don't listen to the media,
Yeah.
and those that cannot evaluate to themselves. It's like in COVID.
Right.
So you had the people that can evaluate for themselves. It didn't just repeated what the media said, was not just parrots and got into hysteria. And there
Yes.
was those that got into hysteria and were masked in their own car.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. 100%. I see. Okay, so basically there'll be people in Russia, those that have bought into the narrative, and there'll be those that haven't.
yeah, of course, like on any subject, but the majority buy into the narrative.
Right.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have what you have in in the world right now. You wouldn't
Yeah.
have the insanity. So Putin should actually get. If I was responsible for the Nobel Prize, I would give him the Nobel Prize. You know why?
Why?
Because he just cured COVID.
He did. That's one thing he
All of a
did.
sudden, COVID is gone.
That's
Everyone
true.
talks now on about the war, and there's no COVID anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. COVID is gone. That's very
He
true.
just cured COVID.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. If he did anything right, he cured COVID.
Exactly. So the point is that you need to understand the outcome of this war or any war is not won by the power of the sword.
Hmm.
War are won by the power of the spirit, by the power of the mind, and that
Yeah.
controlled by PR.
Okay.
You
Yes,
can
I
take a
understand.
small organized group, and it will fight a big unorganized group, and it will win.
Hmm.
What does it mean, organized group? It means that the minds are set on one target and they're all going together.
Yes.
So the war is won by the mind. That's why whoever controlled the media controlled the war, controlled the country.
Okay, I can understand that, but in a that's so super true that there is that. But is there there's so many discussions that the reason is that is happening is because the Ukraine is siding with NATO and Russia wants to take over and get some freaking canals and channels and take over resources of the Ukraine and whatever.
If that
Are you?
was true,
Yeah.
if that was true, and that was the reason, there would be a handling.
Well, if the country doesn't want
If you
to
find the
agree,
source for the problem get resolved.
100%.
So if it was true, then it would be very simple. Well, this, you want these resources, we'll give you that, we'll negotiate with that, not a problem. But it doesn't
Okay.
happen.
So, okay. So the whole thing of Ukraine becoming a member of NATO as a neighboring country to communist Russia, you don't think that that's a
Let- Let's
justified
let,
reason?
let's uh, let's have a look at that. Okay, NATO
Okay.
have a specific size. Okay,
Yeah.
uh, now you've got Ukraine
Hmm.
with small power. Ukraine will not survive 2 weeks without the support of the US and the West. Yes, in this war. Okay,
Hmm.
even now they're finding it hard to survive, but 2 minutes. So adding this ant to the elephant will make the difference in the weight of the elephant.
True. I see that. In
It's
other words,
nonsense.
NATO has power regardless of Ukraine, and
NATO
Russia
have
doesn't.
power regardless of Ukraine, and Ukraine
Yeah.
is like an ant on the back of an elephant that
Yeah.
says, "Whoa, look how much dust we are making."
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
Nonsense.
Okay, so in other words, the purported reasons for the war, for why Russia would attack, for all that is just the front.
Have a look. Have a look. Does it make sense? Does
No,
it
it
make
doesn't.
sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Does it make
understand that
sense
it
that
doesn't.
an ant will join? Because I'm going to go against you, Russia. You're going to go together with you're together with China, 1 point billion people. Okay, and we have this Ukraine. If Ukraine would join NATO, it
Yeah,
would
I
change the whole balance of power. Come on,
got you. Okay, so
it's
why
not the
now?
way.
Obviously, Putin could have done it at any moment. I mean, it's not, he could have done it a year ago if he wanted, or a day ago, he could have attacked, right? At any time, is my point.
It's not the
Why?
reason, because it's not the
Okay,
reason. He has a
oh,
reason now, and it's
yeah,
not. It's not the military reason.
got
The
you. It's
actual
not,
reason. The actual reason is a push on overthrowing the dollar from being the standard currency in the market. That's the actual reason.
okay, now we're getting somewhere. Can you explain that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, the US can print as much money as it wants because the whole universe, the whole world is using the dollar as the standard for exchange.
Right.
Okay. So the US basically have unlimited resources. It has a kind of unfair advantage. It has unlimited resources where it can print money without the money being really devaluated,
Hmm.
and the rest of the world cannot.
Okay.
Here comes China and Russia and says, no, that's not such a good idea. We want our currency to control the world, or at least to be also an option. The US says no, and now you have a war.
Hmm.
Now, up to uh, not long ago, up to about 5, 6 years ago, before Trump, the West agreed to Russia and China to slowly tech resources out of the West in all kind of covert and overt ways.
Yeah.
And at one point, Trump did what he did, and I'm not for Trump or against him, and I'm not for Biden or against him, because they're not the people that actually deciding on doing anything. What they've done is because of an order that they got. So, so at one point, this war surfaced, and this war about the dollar is the war that actually happening right now. And everything that happened right now is basically controlling the dollar. So the US says, okay, you want to control the dollars. Okay, not a problem. If you will control the dollars, we will put all kind of restrictions on you.
Yeah.
And Russia said, if you put a restriction on us, we will go with China. We are going with China, and we will take more and more and more territory. We take back our own territory because it's ours, and we will control the world by collapsing the dollar. How? If our economy collapse, it affects Europe because we supply 60-70% of the gas to Europe. We will create the disaster that we want, the financial disaster that we want to create, that everyone will have to sit on the table and renegotiate this thing of the dollars is the only currency. Now, there's much more details and data about it, but in the, like we have 5-10 minutes. I'm giving it to you very shortly, but that's the reason. And before that, and all the things before that, is just people get, me and you, the normal citizen, get affected by those struggles or by those actual wars without saying anything. When a person agree that he can be quarantined for years, when a person agree that someone will tell him what to do with his own health, when a person agree to be raped mentally by a government, he will agree to anything. It just needs to be done in the correct gradient and with a plausible reason. So if you know that, you will see that there was no war ever that didn't have some other motives behind it. And you will look at let's take the war that I know very well. You take the Israeli-Arabs war. Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like Israel want a country, and because it wants a country, the Arabs don't want it. But it's, come on, what Israel is in terms of size of a country, it's like 1 to 5,000. So Israel is 1 square meter, and the Arab countries is 5,000 square meter, and we're arguing about this 1 square meter. It's not. The Arabs are not so bad, and the Israelis are not so stupid, and the Arabs are not so stupid, and the Israelis are not so bad. So why are we fighting? We're fighting because the actual reason is not the country. So people will say, well, then it's religion. Arabs and Jews are brothers, and they have so many things in common, and it's not the issue. It's not the religion. So what is it? What is it? Someone actually making sure that it will happen, and that someone is hidden. And the massive mistake when you're trying to find out what will happen with the war is to try to find out why the war is happening instead of who is creating it.
Right. That was my impulse. First of all, why? And I think most people are going, why? And also, what's the end result? Which we understand is suffering. So, who then?
The who in the US, in the Israeli-Arab conflict, it was the England, and it's still England. And why blah 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 is not important. It is because did you ever had a fight with your wife that you had a lot of reasons why, but actually It was, you upset.
Mm.
It's not logical, yes? So the
Right, right,
reasons are not the reason.
right,
When
right.
you
Yeah.
have a fight, the reason is not the reason. It is
Hmm.
who created it, who went cuckoo,
Yeah, yeah,
who
true.
wants something unethically.
Hmm.
It's always
Interesting.
who creating it, who creating it.
I see. I see. Okay, so swinging it back to Russia, Ukraine, who?
Ah, who creates it specifically? Well, that you need to be in the inner circle to fully understand it. But I can tell you for sure that there is a who and there is an agenda, and the
Yeah.
agenda is controlling the minds of people. And you
Hmm.
control the minds of people by controlling the finance, by creating such a financial struggle that people will be so afraid and so interpolated, so upset that they will agree to almost anything. And there's definitely a who. It has a very specific name. It has a very specific origin. But it's definitely not the form to explain who is the who. Short of there is a who. Don't look for why, because why, it does not make sense to go to war. Why will you go to war if you know that at the end you will have peace?
Yeah, but at the end here, you'll have tons of suffering, you're saying.
Suffering, but also peace. What that the peace will
Yeah,
be with
then
a
there'll
lot
be
of
peace.
limitations. It will be.
Yeah,
Did you ever seen any war that over time did not end up with peace?
true. Okay, got you. So first of all, you said the solution is in the inner circle, which obviously I know it's a webinar platform that you do once every 2 weeks, but it's for a very closed off group of people, and I don't even think you're accepting new people into it, as far as I last heard. So how does the average person tap into what the heck is going on?
You start by getting into uh, the daily soul coffee that I do. You start to understand that you're not just a body. You start to understand how the body actually operates. What is a spirit? What is a mind? What is entities? Who control the entities? Why are we here? You start to understand the basic principle of life, the actual principle of life, not the mechanical principle of life.
Hmm.
And once you start to understand it, you will see that you will not need to be told who it is. You will recall who it is
Hmm. Hmm.
because you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, got you. Okay, so for someone listening, okay, and I know we have to go in a few minutes. What we know is that this will end in pain and suffering. We know that there's a who behind it. We know that it's an agenda. We know that
Mhm.
it's basically a continuation off of COVID, because if they came up with another COVID narrative, everybody is so over it that there would be too much resistance. So this is basically another angle at continuing the control. Would you say that that's right?
That's part of the plan. Uh,
Okay.
and the COVID, as well as this, as it has the financial aspect as the main uh, driving force or as the main goal in mind of whoever planning it. But it's only a tool. This financial tool is it's only a tool to bring people to be hysterical enough so they will actually agree to limitations that otherwise they will not agree to.
Okay. So it's to further buckle any level of self respect or whatever it might be, in order for you to say, okay, fine, I'll do it,
Exactly.
even though you know it's wrong.
Exactly.
All right. So,
And most
wow.
people will do it, and they think, no, it will not happen. I will not do it. I will not do it. I saw
Right.
that in
Yeah.
everyone that says, I will not do it. Well, how do you know that you do it? When a person rely on the science instead of on themselves,
Mm.
what they say is, I cannot decide. I'm useless.
Hmm. True.
When the
100%.
person rely on the science, on God, on his father, on his mother, on his government. It's not important. When a person relies on anything other than himself to know, He declared that he is useless and he can be manipulated because he declared that he's not himself anymore, because you are the thing that knows. And if you need science or anything else other than yourself to tell you right from wrong, or even data, or even reason, at that moment, you lost yourself.
100%. Very, very true. So the person listening is going, oh my God, this is continuing. It's going to end in suffering. What? I know we said they should join Soul Coffee. Fully agree. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah.
Now, what can, is there anything else that, like, what do you, okay, we got it. What do we do with this information? Like, this is we're in
Stop
a
watching
horrible
the news.
situation.
Stop watching the news. Number one, stop, disconnect yourself from all news outlets.
Okay.
Stop watching the news. It's lies. It's a propaganda machine. It's a brainwashing machine. It's a machine that's designed to re-stimulate eons of brainwashing that happen to the spirit.
Hmm.
So this is a machine that just designed to re-stimulate and hold in place your installed inabilities. It is like if you saw the new Matrix, and never mind what you think about it, but if you saw the new Matrix, he would take the pills every day to keep him blocked from knowing. That's the media.
Got it. And then, but there's a feeling that, but if I don't follow the news, how the heck do I know what's going on beyond my daily routine? Like, what's going on in the world? How do you keep up to
You will
date?
know because you know. The thing that you will discover is that you will know because you know. Now, let me
Mhm.
take look around at what happened a year ago. Let's say you didn't know it. Let's say that you didn't know that Zuma did that and this did that and blah, blah, blah did that. You didn't know. Nothing, zero. You didn't hear about it. Will you be
Mhm.
more productive or less productive?
Definitely more productive. It
Will
would
you be
affect me
more happy or less happy?
more happy.
So, what's your purpose? To be informed about Zuma or about Trump or about falling presidents, or to be happy and more you? What's your purpose?
To be happy and more me, of course.
Good. So why would you do something that you know for sure will destroy that?
Agreed.
What's
Yep.
the value in knowing that President Trump did that or President Biden did this?
Yeah. It's almost
What's the
irrelevant.
value? It's
Yeah.
irrelevant. And if there
Yeah.
would be a nuclear war that you should take cover, it will be probably too late. So it's better that you will not know. Because by that time you will be so powerful because you did not watch the news that it will be amazing for you.
I see. Interesting. And I also feel in a way that certain pieces of information will still reach you without you needing to be plugged into the,
Yeah.
you find out, you don't need to be
People talk,
taking
yes, people talk, but then that's not news. This is conversations.
right.
It's
That's different. Yeah.
it's totally different when you
Yeah.
actually get the data from a friend than
Yes.
if you
Then
get the data from the news, because
Mhm.
he says that from his viewpoint. You know, it's his viewpoint. You don't take
Right.
it like it's coming from God. God,
Right.
Google, Google
Yes.
say, I bow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Totally. Amazing. Okay. So
I
the
mean, how
first,
much more do you need than having fact checker to tell you that you're manipulated? If there is something that's called fact checker for you, you're manipulated.
right.
Imagine
100%.
Galileo would have a fact checker, or Columbus would have a fact checker, or Einstein will have a fact checker. Everything that any genius ever said was totally not a fact. It was an idea
Mm-hmm.
that undo earlier facts. So if we want to say only facts, what we also say is we don't want people to come up with new ideas. We don't want people to be themselves. Just the fact that there is a fact checker tell you that there is an actual attack on the spirit, which is
Yeah.
man.
Mm-hmm.
There's an
100%.
actual attack on the spirit. It is the biggest war against religion ever been.
Mm-hmm.
There was never a bigger war against religion, and all religions are sleeping. They don't even understand that they're being attacked.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. It is. It is a definite attack on religion and on the spirit and mankind. And yeah, I see that. So is that the one thing? Don't watch the news. Is there anything else you
So number
recommend?
one, don't watch the news. Number one, don't
Okay.
watch the news.
Okay.
Number two, stop blaming. Stop blaming
Mhm.
Russia. Stop blaming the enemy. Stop blaming the Jewish. Stop blaming the Arabs. Stop blaming Putin. Stop blaming
Biden.
Trump or
Yeah.
Biden or anyone.
Whatever.
Stop blaming.
Yeah.
There's only one thing only one person that you should blame, and it is
Yeah.
you. And it shouldn't be a blame, really. It should be, I'm going to take responsibility. It's me. I'm so big, it's me.
Yeah.
Stop finding reason why someone else is not okay. Do something about it. Be effective. If someone is not okay and I'm doing something about it, I'm not blaming. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing something about it. It's no problem. I solved the problem.
Yeah.
So I'm not becoming pro in blaming problems. I'm not pro in
Mm-hmm.
blaming, but I'm
Right.
actually having no problems. I may have all kind of barriers that I need to overcome, but I have no problems. Because to have a problem, you first need to blame.
Right. Got you. 100%. I love that, by the way, the pro and blame for problem. So for someone who wants to learn deeper and the inner circle is most likely closed off, we haven't spoken about this at all. I'm just asking you, is there a way, some seminar, something you're planning? I'm assuming that everybody will have to be on a Soul Coffee in order to even on a basic level understand it, if we even do a seminar. But during COVID, you had a whole thing to get people through, to get people prepared, to get people to understand the real who behind it all. Is that something you're thinking about, or what
I'm going to
is?
do something that's called past lives. In order to
Mhm.
recover, you need to recover your ability to remember your past lives. If you like it, if you don't know it, if you believe it or you don't believe in past life, it's really irrelevant.
Mhm.
The pain is too big, the situation is too dire to play with. Oh, you agree with past life or not? I'm going to teach you about past lives. And
Mhm.
for people that still are aware somehow that they at least think that maybe there is past life and they don't think the talent come, Mozart come, or someone come knowing to play piano because someone put some piano powder on his head when he got born or something
Uh-huh.
like that. So,
Right.
so when someone born in an Arab village in Israel, never heard any English, and he speak English in English accent, in UK accent, and but he cannot speak Arabic. Uh, you
Which
need
is
to stop.
true.
Which is
Yeah,
true. It's a true
it's a
story.
true thing. You can look it up on YouTube about that kid that was born in this tiny little Arab village. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Amazing.
when things like that happen and you don't believe that this past life, the minimum you can do is to learn about it.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
possibility.
Right. So do you think I mean, is that going to give people solutions about Ukraine,
Yes,
Russia?
because once you really understand what happened in the past, once you really understand what you did, not what has been done to you, you
Mm,
will stop blaming.
mm, I see.
Because what you're blaming is not about today. It is about what you've done before. You're still justifying what you've done before.
Mm,
You're still trying to make it right.
yeah.
So you
Wow.
have to recover your ability to know, to get over the drug that called the past, which is the worst drug in the universe,
Hmm.
to um, to become you. You have to confront what you did, and what you did is not in this lifetime. What you did in this lifetime is not so bad. It's
Yeah.
nothing in comparison to what you've done in past life.
Amazing.
We have
Amazing.
to finish.
Yes, we
I
got to
have
go. All
another
right.
seminar in
We
like
will
15 minutes.
I know. All right. We will continue next week with an interesting topic that might be relevant. We will see. Stay in touch with us and we will let you know what it's going to be.
Thank you
Okay.
very, very much. And thank you
Yes.
for listening. And thank you for everyone commenting. I saw the comments on the
Yes.
side. I
Me too.
didn't read them, but I actually saw all of them from Ahmed and Poonam and Marvin and Avi and Shamaya and everyone.
Yeah,
So
me too.
thank you. But we specifically today we had the short time because I have another webinar that starts in exactly 15 minutes.
Yes. The
So
7-Figure Academy.
the Seven Figures Academy, yes, and it's
All right.
going to be wow today.
I saw it. It is going to be well.
It
Okay.
is. It is wow.
Yes.
Yes.
All
I
right. Bye,
wrote it
everyone.
like
Thank
an
you.
hour ago or 2 hours
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow.
I loved it. I loved it. I got to see it. All right. Join the Soul Coffee if you haven't yet. Todabale. Thank you. Thank you
I
all. And
love you,
bye bye.
Baba. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye bye.